Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check. Mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. Back at it again. What's good, family? What's good? Welcome to another episode of the P-Ave Perspective with Mr. O'Neill, where we talk about real life, real issues, and real solutions for our people, our neighborhoods, and our communities. If this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe. Somebody needs this conversation tonight. Shout out to Miss Keziah. I'm doing great, doing great. Thank you for tuning in. Thank God we out here in good health, good spirits. And as usual, I like to say thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Whether you're watching the live stream, and now we're streaming on both Facebook and YouTube, or whether you'll be watching the replay later when I post it on YouTube, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out, spend this Thursday evening with me, and hope y'all enjoy it. But we live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. And if you're new, like I said, or if you've been watching, like drop a comment on where you're watching from. Drop a comment on where you're watching from so we can see how far this reaches. But and if something hits home tonight, give me a hit up. Hit me up and say in the chat and let me know. Let me know. But tonight's episode is entitled Each One Teach One. How Mentorship Changes Lives. And I'm going to say this up front. Our communities are suffering. We talk about this all the time. Our communities are suffering, not because of our youth are necessarily lost, but more so because too many adults are absent. That's the real problem. And a lot of people these days claim they don't understand the youth. You can't tell them nothing and all of this, but I think not. I don't believe in that because I was young at one point too. We were all young at some point. And we know what it's like to have to figure it out on our own and not really having valuable people in our lives who can assist us with figuring it out. So as adults and knowing that and facing that reality, we have to assume some of the blame, if not all of the blame, for what's going on with our youth. And let's talk about what we're really seeing nowadays with our youth. We're seeing a lack of direction, a lack of discipline, a lack of identity, lack of hope, and too much influence from social media, these celebrities and rappers and reality TV stars, and a lot of trauma. And that's what we're really seeing in the actions of our youth and why our youth are acting out like they are. But most of all, not enough consistent, present adults. And let's be realistic. It is what it is. We quick to blame the kids, but kids don't raise themselves. Kids don't raise themselves. And so many of us, I see so many kids that are left to figure it out on their own these days. And if we're going to leave them to figure it out on their own, like, think about it. I'm 53 now. I was left to figure out a lot of stuff on my own and didn't have, the proper role models. And I'm still trying to figure it out. So I can look at these youth and realize that it's going to be hard for them to figure out on their own. It's going to be hard for women to figure out how to be real women when they don't have real women to show them how to do it. And the same thing with men. It takes a man to teach a man how to be a man. And if we're not teaching them and they have to learn on their own, it's that much harder, and it really leads to that many more trials and tribulations when they trying to figure it out. So let's keep that in mind. If a child never sees stability, how does he know? How do we expect them to value it? But many of our young people are growing up without fathers in the home, without structured guidance, without somebody who actually listens and cares, and somebody who holds them accountable and believes in them. And like, we can't minimize how that affects our kids, and how, like I said, it makes it that much harder for them to figure it out. But were you mentored growing up? Were you mentored growing up? Yes or no? And we'll talk more about that later. But the cost of no positive adult influence can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. A lack of mentorship isn't just sad, it's expensive to the community. It costs us. And right now, it's costing us our youth, and it's really costing us our future as a people. And we can sit and say, that they do what they want to do. You can't tell them nothing and everything like that. And that's the easy part. That's the easy part of us as adults not being accountable. But when we don't mentor our youth, somebody else will. And it won't be for their benefit. Let's keep it real. But youth that are not mentored properly, don't have the proper guidance, we can see it. We see it every day with increased incarceration, more kids dropping out of school, teen pregnancy, violence, substance abuse, and generational poverty. And like I said, we can make the excuse that we didn't have mentors, but let's be real. If we really understand and know how it affects us, why would we put our kids in future generations in that same situation? I can't do it. I can't do it. I know how it led to the trials and tribulations that I faced in my life. Some of the same things, being locked up, being in gangs, not having no sense of direction, not even, having self-respect. It weighs on us. The streets mentor. If we don't do it, the streets will, prisons will, social media will, and trauma will. And we see the results. If we don't interrupt that cycle, we are just as guilty as they are. We are complicit in the madness. Because if you know better, you should do better. We all say that, but then how many of us really practice what we preach? Let's keep it real. But personally, I've seen what happens when someone steps in, and I've seen what happens when people don't. And like I said, I had positive mentors. I can, attest to that. But just like so many other, people, these youth today, my mentors were taken away from me. You know what I'm saying? My dad was, restricted from being in my life. My not my biological dad, but my dad who really raised me and will really lace me up on what it was like to be a man. I lost my granddad, another, mentor, and what was left were the mentors in the street, the old so-called OGs, the so-called big homies. And like, while they taught me how to survive in my surroundings, I never had the mentor that could teach me how to step out of survival mode, step out of the hood mindset, and really learn to thrive in this world and learn to make a positive impact in this world. So I know how it is. Memphis, Tennessee, Miss Keziah, I thank you, Memphis, all the way in Memphis. But Miss Sheila, good evening. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate y'all taking the time out to tune in with me. But first of all, let's talk about what mentorship really is, because a lot of people don't know what it is, and let's touch on that. But mentorship is not having all the answers. It's not about having all the answers. It's not about being perfect, because none of us are. And so many of us I see today try to make it seem like we were, and try to, with our kids, and try to make it seem like we didn't make mistakes, or, we didn't, mess up. And you can't put that on nobody's shoulders. They need to know that we messed up, we made mistakes. And they need to know how we suffered for making those mistakes. And really, they need to know that, like some people I know, rest in peace, some people made mistakes that they couldn't come back from. Know that they need to understand, and with a better understanding of that, they probably wouldn't make a lot of the mistakes that they're making. But it's not about being rich. It's not about the degrees you have or any of that. It's not about being somebody's savior. It's not about that at all. But what it is about is being consistent, showing them that you're there for them, that you're there to listen, that you're there to give good advice. It's about being honest in the fact that, hey, I've made mistakes too. And these are the consequences and repercussions of those mistakes. It's about being present, being there, simply being there when they need somebody. It's about setting boundaries and showing them how to set boundaries for themselves. And it's about leading by action, or modeling responsibility, showing them through your actions how to be responsible and how to make good decisions. But sometimes the most powerful words that a young person needs to hear is, I've been where you are, and I didn't quit. I didn't give up. But if you could have used a mentor growing up, drop a 100 in the comments. And I know I could. I'll drop a couple of 100s because, like I said, I had mentors to teach me how to survive in the hood environment and how, to make it but nobody taught me how to get out. Nobody taught me how to change their mindset and develop a thriving mindset and, show me a bigger picture of the world. Like, I was caught up in the hood and really didn't know nothing else. And a lot of us were. But as I've grown older, I realized that the world is bigger than the hood. The world is bigger than the hood, and the world is bigger than that hood mindset. So our kids need to see that. But really, mentors help you see beyond the environment. Like I said, help you see the bigger picture of the world, and that the hood is only a small part of it. And it's really a part that we don't have to participate in. But they help us build confidence. They help us make better decisions. They help us develop purpose and make better decisions, but avoid mistakes we already made. Like, do you realize that? And like, don't get me wrong, it's not that easy because I have kids and I am open and honest with my kids about everything that I've been through. I'm open and honest about the repercussions of my choices and decisions. And let's keep it real. Some people not going to listen. Some of them just are going to find out on their own. A lot of them I consider too far gone because they think they know everything. They think they're grown. So you really can't tell them nothing. But that doesn't stop me from trying. That would never stop me from trying. I would go to my grave trying to give my kids good advice and trying to help them avoid the mistakes and pitfalls that nearly destroyed my life and caused me to spend, a large portion of my life in prison, a large portion of my life out here just moving, without no real destination, or really without knowing who I was and where I was going. I'll go to my grave trying to do that, not only with my kids, but any kids that I come in contact with, because I don't want to see them make the same mistakes that I made. I don't. It hurts me. It hurts me to my heart. But mentorship, it shortens the learning curve. The more we can help them learn through our experiences, share our experience with them, it limits the negativity that they have to go through. It limits the mistakes and pitfalls that they have to fall into along their way. A mentor doesn't remove struggle, but they help you survive it. But one consistent adult can change the trajectory of the child's entire life. Really, one consistent adult can change the trajectory of a child's entire life. And you can be that person. You can be that person. But we don't need superheroes. We don't need superheroes. We need present men and women who refuse to let the next generation fail alone. That's what we need. And salute to my mentors who are out here. Like I said, my guest I had on a while ago, Miss Catherine Mitchell. So many others that I see. Miss Anastasia DeBow. So many mentors, and they not coming to mind right now, but there are so many positive mentors out here that are using what they had to learn the hard way to help the youth. And I salute them. But if you're really serious and you really believe in what I'm saying and you want to help make the difference in the lives of some youth, here are some things that you can do. But ways that you can mentor and you can help our youth. Number one, be visible. Be visible with your own kids. Like attend school events. Show them, you know what I'm saying, support in the positive stuff that they do. Show them support. Attend school events. Show up to games, programs, community meetings. You know, be active, but be available. Listen more than you talk. Create safe spaces for conversation. And we have it bad as a people, not allowing these kids to talk and not allowing these kids to express themselves. And believe me, as a witness, I understood that growing up because our parents were the same way. Our parents were, don't be smart. Don't talk back. You do as I say, not as I do. And we see how that worked. It didn't. It didn't. Our parents wouldn't have those tough conversations with us. Our parents wouldn't explain to us that, hey, I messed up. That was a bad decision on my part. You know, so I'm grown. I do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So people got to that point. Kids got to that point where they ran around thinking just like that. I'm grown. I do what I want to do. But that's not real. That is not real. That is not how it works. We have to learn to be honest. Share life lessons with them. Share the good choices we made just as well as the bad choices and how it turned out. Talk about mistakes. Talk about consequences. And talk about it's not over. You get a chance, regardless if you make a mistake. The thing about mistakes is if you learn from that mistake and it helps you make you a better person to the point where you don't make that mistake again, then that's a plus. You can always come back from it. It's never too late. But teach life skills. You know what I'm saying? Teach them how to manage money. Teach them what money is all about. Teach them work ethic, that you have to really work hard to accomplish the things you want to accomplish. Too many of us still try to take the short route. And that's not how it works. But teach them to communicate. Teach them to open up. Don't tell them, oh, I'm grown and oh, you trying to be smart. Because I always used to think when my mother told me that, oh, don't be smart. Do you want me to be dumb? Talk to them. Communicate. Teach them accountability. Teach them to be accountable for their actions. You know, to stand up and be men and be strong young women. But also support local programs. Support youth organizations, you know, and it's the sports organizations are good, but it's more than that. It's more than, you know, the sports. The sports are good because they teach a lot of skills that we need, but not just that. You know, with anything that you see that is supporting the youth and pushing the youth towards better, support it. Support the churches. Support these nonprofit organizations that's really doing the work. Support after school programs. You know, you don't have to mentor 20 kids. One is enough. One is enough. Reach one, teach one. One is enough. And like I said, if you're an adult watching this, here's your assignment. Reach one, teach one, and be consistent. Whatever it is, teach them. Reach out to them. Teach them. Be consistent. Mentorship is not optional if we truly care about the future of our community. Our future don't work without the kids. Whitney Houston said it back in the day, the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. And if we don't teach them, who will? Like I said, the streets, these so-called OGs and big homies, and we know what that's, they teaching them how to go to prison and teaching them how to die. The music, all of that is teaching them not to respect themselves, not to respect, the opposite sex, not to respect their lives. And it's teaching really to be comfortable with dying or be comfortable with taking a life. And that's not what's up. It's not what's up. But this is the work we believe in. Personal development, neighborhood development, accountability, and community empowerment. I speak on that all the time. That's my mission. That is my mission. But if you're willing to mentor, type "I'm in" the comments. I want to see it. I want to, hear from y'all. Ronnie T, babe, I see you, kinfolk. Appreciate you for tuning in, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. The new people, the people that tune in regularly. Like I said, this is not possible without y'all. This is not possible without y'all. I share this because, like I said, I want to tap in with y'all and really help. To help, man. That's the only way we're going to get it right. That's the only way we're going to get it right. We have to take responsibility. And let me say this. Don't wait until, your child becomes a victim. Don't wait until your child end up dead or end up in the penitentiary. Don't wait until some of the people out there with no role models end up hurting somebody close to you. Don't wait to that point. Don't wait to that. Like, get involved now. Get involved now and help make a difference. But like I said, share this episode with someone who needs to hear the message, man. Share this episode with somebody who needs to hear the message. And like I said, I like to hit quick and I like to hit hard. I don't try to keep y'all on here long with a bunch of filler. But I feel like I got the point across, man. Each one teach one. We need more mentors. We need more role models. We need more people who basically give a damn. And if you're one of those people, I salute you. Tap in with me. Like I said, I have stuff coming up. I have stuff planned for this year where we're going to have to get out in the community and we're going to have to get our hands dirty. And I would appreciate as many of y'all, to tap in and tag along with me as possible because it makes the job that much easier. But like I said, I'm Mr. O'Neill. This is the P-Ave Perspective. And until next time, like I said, each one teach one. Each one teach one. Peace, family. Like, good night. Have a great night. And like I said, if you enjoyed the information, share it. Somebody else needs to hear it. Somebody else needs to hear it. And like I said, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hopefully, God willing, we'll be here next week. Like they say, same bat time, same bat channel. But once again, Mr. O'Neill, the P-Ave Perspective. Thank y'all for tuning in. And God willing, I'll see y'all all next week. Have a great night.